Now, next up is Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. That's what Aaron. I'm Anchorman. I'm reading my own format. That's what myself and Brian saw. So, Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. To start off, Benjamin Walker plays Abe Lincoln. Abe was a boy when his mom was killed by a vampire, so after many years of seeking vengeance, he happens across a guy named Henry. Henry is a man that's devoted to teaching Abe the ways of killing vampires, in particular, the slave-owning bastards led by Adam, who's played by Rufus Sewell. That guy, if you look that guy up, he is basically the token bad guy. Every movie the guy's in, bad guy. Bad guy.
He is.
Every movie. Abe also gets a little help from his former slave best friend, Will Johnson, who I must say for the slave era seems to get around just fine, no problems. And his boss, Mr. Speed, who's played with a little spice by Breakout Kings Jimmy Simpson, which was, as a fan of Breakout Kings, it was a nice little benefit for me because I liked the guy. It was good to see him working. The film's mostly set during Abe's youth, but it does include his courtship with Mary Todd, and it ends right around the Gettysburg Address. Okay, so first and foremost, here's what I had to say. This is not a fucking history lesson. Nowhere in this film did I go, geez, Abe really was one serious badass vampire killer. I don't understand. I've read several bad reviews after I saw this movie, and they all kept going over the historical inaccuracies of the movie. Seriously, I mean, you mean how like vampires don't actually exist and there's no record of an axe-twirling 16th president beheading them? You fucking morons.
Hey, don't you remember from history class that when the North and the South fought at Gettysburg, that the North were shooting silver bullets and cannonballs?
It's just so ridiculous. I couldn't believe how. I mean, I don't read reviews until after the movie's over. So I read them all after I walked out, and I couldn't believe how many of them actually commented on historical inaccuracies. This is the stupidest argument for this kind of movie I could ever see. Yes, the real Lincoln had 4 kids, and Mary Todd was certifiably insane. Sincerely, she was committed. You can look it up. So do not cut history class and use this as your research paper, kids, because it doesn't qualify. The plot is ridiculous. The story is absolutely idiotic. The history is a joke, but the movie is fucking fun. The action was kick-ass. Sure, a lot of the cliched bullshit was slow motion, and what I must say is the longest train bridge in the history of man. Because it's literally the length of the Grand Canyon. I'm not kidding. Wouldn't you agree, Brian, when they get on this train?
The length of the Grand Canyon around.
Yes. They get on this train bridge, and they seriously take this thing for so long. I'm like, how is this possible? But I was on the edge of my seat, and Giddy is a high schooler on meth the whole time. So fuck critics. This movie is fun. Benjamin Walker, I thought, did a really good Abe Lincoln, but I'll be honest with you, I think he did a great older Lincoln. I actually, to the point where, for a serious note, I think is it Spielberg who's doing a Lincoln movie? I think that's who's doing it. I think he would be a good cast for the elder Lincoln. He did a really good job. Mm-hmm. Shocked me. How I bought him. I mean, even in a movie as ridiculous as this, I'm like, wow, he's actually putting a lot of emphasis on this.
Yeah, I thought he was great. The only thing that was a little bit distracting for me with him was that he looked in certain scenes, he looked both like Eric Bana and even a younger Liam Neeson.
Oh yeah, that's good. I don't know what
it's weird because one minute he would look like one, the other one he would look like the other, but it was, but I thought he did phenomenal.
He did a great job, man. I was very impressed with him. And listen, bottom line is I didn't go into this movie seeking art. I don't understand the confusion. The title says how stupid it is. All right, I didn't read the book, so I can't judge it from the book. I read part of it, but I can't really judge it from the book's perspective. So I don't know how that plays into it. I realize that apparently a lot of this is different. Brian, I think, can talk to that because he's read it. But I went into it realizing this is going to be a cheesy action flick with a ridiculous story, and it's all that and more. It's a ludicrous action scenes, and it still manages to be some of the most fun I've had in the theater this summer. Honestly. I just had a blast with it. If $10 is a full price of admission, I give it $7. Nice. Brian, what'd you think? Yeah,
I mean, a couple of nitpicky things. The friend of his, the from childhood, he was the slave that that grew up to be his best friend there. I don't even think he was in the book. Most of his running around was with the guy that was teaching him how to hunt vampires.
Mm-hmm.
So, but. Okay, he didn't really detract anything from it, so it was like, all right, whatever. but the people are wearing sunglasses. That was a little bit distracting to me. I actually looked this up because I was wondering when sunglasses were invented. Mm-hmm. Sunglasses, for the purpose that we use them for, weren't invented until 1929.
Here we go again. Historical inaccuracies. All right. Listen, Roger Ebert. I don't care. It's called Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I check all that shit at the door for that kind of movie. That shit just stays at the door.
It's one of the it's just one of those.
They also had a fucking slideshow, like a PowerPoint presentation of the vampires right in the middle of the movie. There's no way they had that technology because they didn't have fucking electricity, I don't think. But I mean, not to any usable effect. And they're basically like, well, I guess they used candlelight, didn't they? But they're basically taking pictures and making a slideshow on the wall.
Yeah,
it's
they had
1800.
They had slideshows back then.
If you, I don't believe that. But you go ahead.
Well, they did. But,
well, then they had sunglasses too. You son of a bitch. I don't care what Wikipedia
because I actually
says.
looked both of them up, but that's
Wikipedia
fine.
is not factual.
So anyway, like I said, I thought Benjamin Walker was really good. It was very fun. I mean, again, it's nitpicky stuff. The scenes are over the top. They're, some of them are just a bit ridiculous, referencing the train one again. But overall, it was just very fun. Lots of action. And it does what movies are supposed to do. It entertains you. Mm-hmm. And I, like you, for mostly the same reasons, give it a 7 out of $10.
All right. Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. We're probably the only critics you'll find that'll like it, and I'm the only one apparently that doesn't have any historical inaccuracy problems. Because Brian takes issue with sunglasses. I think they dropped it from an 8 to a 7 for him.